There's a revolution in marketing going on right now. Brands are advertising directly to their customers. And their secret? Podcast advertising. With the podcast ad industry expected to reach $1 billion next year, iHeartMedia can help. Not only is iHeart the #1 audio company in America, we're also the #1 podcast company with more listeners than anyone else. So take advantage of this moment. Visit iHeartPodcast.com. That's iHeartPodcast.com. Because the next message you hear on this podcast should be yours.
The Christina Lynn Podcast.
Who are you talking to right now? Who is it you think you see? Do you know how much I make a year? You clearly don't know who you're talking to, so let me clue you in. I am the danger. I am the one who knocks.
I was first introduced to eating THC in college. A girlfriend of a friend was brought up in a very cannabis-friendly household and cooked us pasta with cannabis-infused sauce. It was epic. It was also very rare because at that time weed was still seen as a rebel substance and not nearly as acceptable as now. Let me be clear though, we still have a long way to go, but since I was in college, we have had progress. Anyways, eating cannabis is a completely different experience than smoking or vaping it. It's for a very obvious reason. Because of this thing called digestion, it gets in your bloodstream more fully and in a way sparks your high from the inside out. It becomes more of what they call a body high than a head high. I've had bad experiences with edibles, usually because they were made from people who were trying to figure out how to make them in their own kitchen with weed they bought off the street, and there was no skill or thought into dosing. That was always a scary part for me, but being young and invincible, I could deal. Although, now that I'm saying that, I realize I had a more recent experience that wasn't so great either. While in Denver, I bought a candy bar that was a total of 100 milligrams of THC, which means there were 10 milligram little squares. And for some reason, that breakdown just didn't occur to me, so I ate half of the bar, which would be a total of 50 milligrams. Perhaps it was bad timing in terms of my stomach being empty and the mix of being in a higher elevation, but that Uber ride back to my Airbnb felt like a freaking roller coaster. But listen, you can overdo it on anything. I've thrown up more from getting drunk on purpose than I ever have from overdoing it with cannabis. There is good to edibles and generally ingestible cannabis. Because it gets into your bloodstream, it's able to reach areas of pain that the smoke that is processed through your lungs may not be able to reach. Edibles and ingestibles with a higher CBD to THC ratio are best to treat chronic pain. And I want to stop for a second and explain that ratio I just mentioned. In my experience in the dispensary, there are 3 types of medication ratios. 20-1 THC to CBD, 1-1 THC to CBD, and then 1-20 THC to CBD. What the hell am I talking about? Okay, we'll break this down. Basically, a 20-1, THC being 20 and CBD being 1, is the most natural form of cannabis. It is THC rich, makes you loopy or high or whatever you want to call it, and gives you some naturally occurring CBD. 1-1, that's 1 THC to 1 CBD, is enriched with CBD, and this can be done by growing a specific strain of cannabis that has more CBD in it, or it can be infused with CBD to create that ratio. You'll get loopy, but not out of your mind, because CBD actually curbs any THC high, and this is an insider tip. Keep CBD on hand for any time you feel you may have gotten too high, and it'll bring you back down. How does it do this? It replenishes the cells in your endocannabinoid system and allows it to relax, giving your brain and body something of a break from maybe too much THC. This is also true of CBD in general, and why some people use it for anxiety, or as I like to call it, a natural Xanax. The ratio 1-20, I think you can deduct, is 1 THC to 20 CBD. This won't get you high whatsoever, and the traces of THC are naturally occurring and will be processed out of your system. Those trace amounts of THC and CBD cause what's called the entourage effect, which means it interacts with the CBD in a way that is beneficial to you. If you've never tried edibles before, either THC or CBD, I would suggest starting small, around 5 to 10 milligrams. Give it an hour to set in. Depending on if you have an empty stomach or not will determine how quickly it will be absorbed. If you would rather have the effects set in quicker and still ingest either CBD or THC, then sublingual is the best option. This is what a lot of CBD oil is sold as, and there are tablets and tinctures with those same ratios that we just talked about. Sublingual means you're putting it under your tongue, which bypasses your digestive process and expedites the effects. Usually you need to let it sit under your tongue until it's fully absorbed or dissolved, about a minute. And the longer you can hold it there, the more potent the effects will be. You can then swallow it and the rest will be processed through your digestive system. Other ways of ingesting CBD and or THC are surfacing. And one of my favorite products in Denver was THC-infused coffee. And I've had infused blueberries, espresso beans, CBD-infused kombucha, CBD-infused water, and so much more. I have to laugh at the stories that claim people will give away THC-infused candy to trick-or-treaters. And I bring this up because it is October. First of all, they're not cheap. Second of all, it's not harmful, so whatever a person is trying to achieve by giving children in their neighborhood expensive adult candy would be a specific kind of weird. Also, all THC-infused edibles are clearly labeled as such, especially in New York, where it's not easily obtainable. How or why the hell someone would spend a lot of money on several bags of candy that is illegal and then shell it out, I don't know. THC or CBD candy is not typically sold in bulk, so that would be a big chunk of money out of your pocket. Sure, during Halloween we should be safe, but let me tell you there are bigger problems out there than a kid accidentally ingesting cannabis. And I'm not saying do it, but perhaps let's focus on more serious and literal intoxicants. For more information, new content, or to submit to be a guest on my show, go to xtinalynn.com. That's XTINALYNNE.com.
The Christina Lynn Podcast.
Who are you talking to right